STEM 28 is going to be looking at supplementation, and we'll still come under the heading of how does training affect performance. For supplementation, we're going to be looking at vitamins and minerals, protein, caffeine, and creatine products. First one we're going to look at here is vitamins, and as it says, vitamins are organic compounds that are required for normal growth, development, and metabolism. The key here is that vitamins can be broken up into two different groups. They can either be fat-soluble vitamins or water-soluble vitamins. If we talk about the fat-soluble vitamins, first of all, they're going to be classified as vitamins A, D, E, and K. With some of the problems here is that they're stored in the body's fat tissues or adipose tissue. And again, if large amounts are taken, they can build up to toxic levels. The water-soluble vitamins are the B group and the C group. The best thing about these is that these vitamins are dissolved in the water. And so that means through our sweat, through our urine, they're going to be easily expelled by the body if intake is excessive. So if we take too many of these, we're going to excrete them naturally through our body. Whereas our fat-soluble vitamins, the ones up here, if we take too many of these, they're going to build up and store in our fat, in our body, and can be quite dangerous for us. So the thing down the bottom here for me is that, for athletes that need to consume foods high in water-soluble vitamins, more than other foods containing fat-soluble vitamins, because they can be excreted a lot easier, and they're not going to put excessive weight on and build them up. Some of the primary sources of these vitamins are fruits, veggies, whole grain breads and cereals, and some lean meats and dairy products. Some of the researchers around the world have started to look at the stress the body undergoes when exercising. This ties into our part on vitamins. When an athlete trains really hard, the stress of the training leads to the body adapting to training loads and becoming more efficient at working at those intensities. Progressive overload, that's what would be tied in with there. When an athlete supplements higher levels of vitamins, this helps the body to actually deal with some of the stresses that have been caused from this high level of training. So therefore, what happens is because they're taking vitamins, it actually lowers the amount of stress that the body is experiencing. So with a reduction in this stress, there is a corresponding reduction in the adaptation process. So the progressive overload that's occurred due to the high levels of stress from the training, pushing the body past its limits, aren't as great as they could be because of the vitamins trying to reduce some of that stress. So when athletes are supplementing with vitamins, it may actually hamper some of their training adaptations, leading to reduced performance gains over training cycles. So they need to be very, very careful about how they're doing their vitamin intake. If an athlete and his or her coach think that a vitamin supplementation might be necessary, the key here is that it's important to speak to a doctor or a sports dietitian to ensure that it's suitable for the athlete. Minerals include calcium, potassium, iron, sodium, phosphorus, magnesium, and chloride. Minerals are important for cellular functions such as muscle contraction, fluid balance, and maintenance of energy systems. Athletes usually will try and take some form of mineral intake in relation to some exercise-related losses, and the main one being the sodium, which they do through sweat. So athletes are going to lose things through sweat, especially in warmer climates, so therefore they're going to take some minerals to help replace what they've lost. Usually performance will not be improved by taking large doses of minerals above the standard recommended intakes. Some athletes may be at risk of mineral deficiencies in certain situations. So iron and calcium are two minerals that are very, very popular in this situation, or very common, that are considered essential for athletic performance. And so dietary intake of these need to be adequate, in particular for iron deficiency, especially in women who lose a lot of iron through their blood in their menstrual cycle. As with vitamins, mineral deficiencies usually occur in relation to inadequate energy intake or from the restriction of particular food groups such as red meat or dairy products. And like our vitamins, if athletes are going to try mineral supplementation, they should not be undertaken without evidence from a doctor or support from a doctor or a sports dietitian. Protein. Protein has the important role in the human body as it is necessary for building and repairing tissue. So it's the building blocks of our body. It helps us put on our size. It helps muscles contract and keeps the body healthy by resisting disease. It is also seen as a minor energy source when both carbs and fats have been depleted. Protein is regularly found in meat, fish, dairy products, breads and cereals. Amino acid supplements claim to make massive improvements such as reducing fatigue, increasing muscle size and improving athletic recovery time. However, there is no scientific evidence to prove that protein supplementation will do any of these things. The problem with them is that they're expensive options when a slight change in diet will cause the required change at a cheaper cost. So you need to be very, very careful in terms of the protein that you're taking. It is expensive. Athletes can also take different types of protein, whether it be protein that's high in carbohydrates, so those that are a little bit leaner trying to put on more weight, or if those that are bigger athletes trying to lose a bit of weight, a little bit of weight can take protein, which is very low in carbohydrates. So they're not going to put on any excessive weight. And they're things that people need to be careful of. But as it mentions here, they are expensive, so you need to make sure they're taken correctly. Caffeine. Caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant. So that means it speeds up everything that takes place. It is commonly consumed in tea, coffee, cola drinks, energy drinks, and chocolate. High levels of caffeine are not necessary for sports performance. Some of the effects of caffeine are it increases the heart rate and can affect your heart rhythm, relaxes smooth muscle, can produce symptoms of anxiety in high doses, so people get very anxious, and decreases an athlete's rating of perceived exertion. So athletes feel as though they are performing more easily than they actually are. So rate of perceived exertion is how hard they actually think they're training. Caffeine has recently been removed from the WADA banned list. In fact, as little as 2 to 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is enough to potentially improve performance. The other thing about caffeine is that it has some form of a diuretic effect, as we can see up here. So the diuretic effect of caffeine is a concern held by many athletes, but is often over-exaggerated. Caffeine is a mild diuretic, but during exercise, this effect falls off and will not impact or exacerbate dehydration during exercise. So it's not really going to cause a concern for athletes once they start doing some form of exercise. The big concern is that there is a current boom in the energy drink market, and this has meant that there are products available that will provide well in excess of 2 to 3 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram body weight in one drink. People need to be very careful when they take these sports drinks. A level above this may be detrimental to some athletes as it can increase anxiety, make them feel jittery and unsettled before a competition, which is not what you want. You want the athletes feeling very, very relaxed and calm and ready to participate and perform at their best, not being unsettled and feeling a little bit different, feeling not normal, a bit jittery. Athletes need to be aware of the individual variations in the benefits of caffeine. Athletes who are highly sensitive to caffeine need to be wary of the timing of its intake and weigh up the benefits compared to the side effects. Athletes should also be aware that caffeine may reduce sleep quality and quantity, which may adversely affect their recovery. Creatine. Creatine is a normal part of an everyday diet and combines with phosphate groups to create phosphocreatine, which is used to resynthesize ATP molecules, which is our form of energy in our three systems, which we all know about. Creatine is commonly found in meat, fish, chicken products and is stored in skeletal muscle. As a supplement, the athlete can increase creatine loading by taking approximately 20 to 30 grams per day over a period of 5 days with carbohydrates to maximize storage. This is known as the loading phase. This loading process can increase the capacity for storage of up to 25%, in some athletes as high as 50%. This is of great importance for athletes where phosphocreatine is used, namely in sprinting and in events where recovery time is between 30 seconds and 3 minutes, or the explosive events where the recovery time can be quite quick for them and they can use their ATP stores again, which is what creatine is. As a result of supplementation, a single event may have a 1 to 3% improvement, while repeated activities may have a 5 to 15% improvement. Sports that involve interval training, or short bouts of speed, such as soccer and touch football, may benefit from creatine supplementation. A side effect of this is weight gain, as creatine loading involves a large storage of water. And just to tie all this up, so we've gone through the 5, if we go back here, the 5 areas that we need to look at with vitamins and minerals, proteins, caffeine, and creatine products. Then next thing I need you to do is to actually have a look at this syllabus question, which I'll just get back to it. Here it is. Critically analyse the evidence for and against supplementation for improved performance. So we're going to draw it up in a table. Might be an easiest way to do it. Or we might, start off with the table, then expand on our answer. But I want you to put down some things for and against, because it asks for 2 sides here, so you need to do both for and against. So what are some of the... Keep losing my screen. Go back, sorry boys. So once we've done our little draft table here of some points for and against of supplementation to improve performance, then we might be able to use some of the points we've got to construct our answer. So we'll draw up a table in your book, just a little rough copy of a table, split your page in half, put for on one side, against on the other, and go through some of the information looking at the supplementation we've just spoke about to get an idea of what impact it's going to have, both a positive and a negative, in terms of improving performance. And then from that we can construct a full answer.